Look at this. It's January. It's minus 10 degrees outside. Everything in my neighbor's garden is completely dead brown, frozen, gone. They spent over $400 last spring on beautiful flowering plants. And now, nothing. They'll have to spend another $400 this spring and do it all over again. But look at my garden right next to it. Camera pans to your garden showing green or dormant but alive plants under snow. These plants, still alive, still surviving. And come spring, they are going to explode with color and life again, for the third year in a row, and I paid for them exactly once. Here's what most gardeners in America don't understand. If you live in hardiness zones 3, 4, or 5, and that covers states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and dozens more, you cannot just plant any perennial and expect it to survive. Our winters are brutal. We're talking minus 20, minus 30-degree temperatures, heavy snow, hard freezes that go deep into tea. He ground. Most perennials you see at garden centers, they are not tested for our climate. They are sold to everyone from Florida to Alaska with the same tag. And then American gardeners in cold zones wonder why their plants die every single winter. Today I am going to fix that problem for you permanently. I have personally tested all 9 of these perennials right here in Zone 4. Some of them have survived in my garden for over 5 years. These are not plants I read about in a book. These are plants I have watched come back year after year after year through the most brutal winters America can throw at them. So if you are tired of losing plants every winter, tired of spending money every spring replanting, and tired of getting advice that doesn't work for your climate, this video is going to change everything for you. Let's get into it. Intro: Understanding hardiness zones. Before we get into the plants, I need to quickly explain something that will make everything in this video make sense, and honestly, something that most gardening channels skip completely. The USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map divides the entire United States into zones based on the average minimum winter temperature. Zone 3 gets down to minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Zone 4 gets down to minus 30. Zone 5 gets down to minus 20. Show USDA zone map graphic on screen. Now here is the important part. When you buy a plant at a garden center, and the tag says perennial, that does not automatically mean it will survive your winter. Most perennials are rated for zone 6 or higher. That means they can handle winters down to minus 10 degrees. Sounds cold, right? But if you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin, your winters regularly go to minus 20, minus 30. That plant is going to die. This is the #1 reason American gardeners in cold climates give up on perennials. They buy the wrong plants. The plants die. They assume perennials just don't work in their area, and they go back to buying annuals every single spring, spending hundreds of dollars year after year. The truth is, there are incredible perennials that are specifically built for zones 3, 4, and 5. Plants that have been tested and proven in the coldest American climates. Plants that don't just survive our winters, they actually thrive because of them. All 9 plants I'm showing you today are rated for zone 3 minimum. That means if your zone is 3, 4, or 5, every single one of these plants will come back for you next spring. Guaranteed. Let's start with number 1. Plant number 1, Coneflower / Echinacea. Plant number 1 is Echinacea, also called Coneflower. And if I could only recommend one perennial for cold climate American gardeners, this would be it. Echinacea is rated all the way down to zone 3. That means minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I have had Echinacea plants in my zone 4 garden for 6 years now. 6 years, the same plants. They come back every single spring without fail. Here is what makes Echinacea so special for cold climates. It actually needs a cold winter period to perform its best. The freeze and thaw cycle triggers something in the root system that makes it bloom more vigorously the following summer. So while your neighbor's zone 6 plants are dying in your harsh winter, your Echinacea is literally being strengthened by it. Echinacea blooms from midsummer all the way through fall. The flowers are large, daisy-like, and come in colors ranging from classic purple to pink to white, orange, red, and yellow depending on the variety. They grow 2 to 4 feet tall and work beautifully as a border plant or in the middle of a flower bed. But here is the bonus that most people don't talk about. Echinacea is one of the most powerful pollinator plants you can grow. Bees, butterflies, and birds absolutely love it. In the fall, if you leave the seed heads standing instead of cutting them back, goldfinches and sparrows will visit your garden every single day to eat the seeds. It turns your garden into a wildlife sanctuary. Care is almost zero. Plant it in full sun. Water it well the first season while it establishes. After that, almost completely drought-tolerant. You don't need to fertilize it. You don't need to divide it for several years. It just grows, blooms, and comes back. Year after year after year. Varieties I personally recommend for zones 3 to 5. Magnus, Pow Wow Wild Berry, and White Swan. All three are proven performers in brutal cold climates. Plant number 2, Black-Eyed Susan/Rudbeckia. Plant number 2 is Rudbeckia or Black-Eyed Susan, and this plant is basically the Echinacea's best friend. They look beautiful planted together, and they bloom at almost exactly the same time. Rudbeckia is rated to Zone 3. It is native to North America, which means it evolved specifically for harsh American conditions. This is not a plant that was imported from a mild European climate and forced to survive here. This plant literally grew across the American plains for thousands of years before anyone ever put it in a garden. The flowers are bright golden yellow with a dark brown center, that's the black eye. They bloom from July all the way through October, which is one of the longest bloom seasons of any perennial. When everything else in the garden starts to fade in late summer and fall, Rudbeckia is still going strong. It grows 2 to 3 feet tall and spreads slowly over time. After 3 to 4 years, you will have a nice clump that you can divide and spread around your garden or give to neighbors. Free plants from one original purchase. That is the beauty of perennials. One thing I love about Rudbeckia, specifically for American cold climate gardens, it is one of the last plants to go dormant in fall. Even after the first hard frosts, the seed heads remain standing tall above the snow. It adds structure and visual interest to your winter garden when everything else has disappeared. Care is extremely simple. Full S. To part shade. Average soil does not need rich amended soil. Once established, very drought tolerant. Cut back in early spring before new growth emerges. That is basically all the care it needs. My recommended variety for zones 3 to 5 is Goldsturm. It is the most cold-hardy, most reliable, and most widely available variety. It has won awards for good reason. Plant number 3, Salvia/Sage. Plant number 3 is hardy Salvia, and I need to be very specific here, because this is where a lot of American gardeners make an expensive mistake. When you go to a garden center, you will see many types of Salvia. Tropical Salvia, annual Salvia, and hardy perennial Salvia. The tropical and annual varieties are beautiful, but they will not survive a zone 3, 4, or 5 winter. You need to specifically look for hardy perennial Salvia, also called Salvia nemorosa. Hardy Salvia nemorosa is rated to zone 3. It produces tall spikes of deep purple or blue flowers that are absolutely stunning. It blooms in late spring and early summer, and here is the really exciting part. If you cut it back after the first bloom, it will rebloom again in late summer. 2 full bloom seasons from one plant in a single year. The flowers are incredibly attractive to bees, hummingbirds, and butterflies. If you want to bring pollinators into your garden, Salvia is one of the top 3 plants you can grow. It grows 18 to 24 inches tall and forms a neat, upright clump. It works beautifully as a border plant along walkways, driveways, and fence lines. The deep purple color pairs perfectly with the yellow of Rudbeckia and the pink purple of Echinacea. If you plant all 3 together, you will have one of the most beautiful garden combinations possible. Care is simple. Full sun is best. Well-drained soil. It does not like wet feet, especially in winter. The key care tip for cold climates is this. Do not cut it back in fall. Leave the stems and foliage standing all winter. They act as insulation for the crown of the plant. Cut everything back in early spring, and you will see fresh new growth emerging within weeks. Best varieties for zones 3 to 5. Caradonna, Maynite, and Marcus. All 3 are proven performers that I have personally grown. Plant number 4, Daylily/Hemerocallis. Plant number 4 is the Daylily Hemerocallis, and this might be the single most forgiving perennial on this entire list. Daylilies are rated to zone 3. They are virtually indestructible. I have seen daylilies growing in abandoned lots, along roadsides, and in gardens that have not been touched in 20 years. They just keep coming back, no matter what. The name daylily comes from the fact that each individual flower only lasts 1 day. But here is the thing, each plant produces dozens and dozens of flower buds. So while each flower is gone in a day, new flowers open every single morning for weeks on end. A mature daylily clump in full bloom is one of the most spectacular sights in a summer garden. They come in an incredible range of colors: yellow, orange, red, pink, purple, cream, and bicolors. There are over 80,000 registered varieties of daylily. You will never run out of options. Daylilies grow 1 to 4 feet tall, depending on the variety. They work as ground cover on slopes, as border plants, as mass plantings, or as specimen plants. They are one of the most versatile perennials you can grow. Care is almost non-existent. Sun or part shade, they adapt to both. Average soil, water during drought. Divide every 4 to 5 years when the clump gets crowded. That is literally all the maintenance they require. The variety I most recommend for cold climate American gardens is Stella de Oro, a compact golden yellow variety that blooms longer than almost any other daylily. It is rated to Zone 3 and has been one of the best-selling perennials in America for over 30 years for very good reason. Plant number 5, Yarrow/Achillea. Plant number 5 is Yarrow Achillea millefolium A. This is a plant that I think is dramatically underused in American cold climate gardens. Yarrow is rated to Zone 3. It is native to North America and has been growing wild across the American continent for thousands of years. It is one of the toughest plants that exists. What makes Yarrow special is its flat-topped clusters of tiny flowers that come in shades of yellow, red, pink, white, and orange. The flowers are incredibly long-lasting both on the plant and when cut for arrangements. A vase of Yarrow flowers will last 2 weeks easily. It is one of the best cut flowers you can grow in a cold climate garden. Yarrow blooms from June through September, a very long season. And like Salvia, if you deadhead it regularly, it will keep producing new flowers throughout the entire summer. But here is what really sets Yarrow apart for Zone 3 to 5 gardens specifically. It is one of the most drought-tolerant perennials that exists. Once established, it can go weeks without water. It actually prefers poor, dry soil, which means if you have sandy or rocky soil that other plants struggle in, Yarrow will absolutely thrive. It grows 2 to 3 feet tall and spreads slowly over time. Plant it in full sun. Do not overwater it. Do not fertilize it heavily. This actually causes it to flop over. Lean, dry conditions bring out the best in Yarrow. Best varieties for Zones 3 to 5. Moonshine for bright yellow, Paprika for red-orange, and Cerise Queen for deep pink. All three have proven themselves in the harshest American winters. Plant number 6, Hosta. Show footage or photos of hostas. Plant number 6 is Hosta, and this one is specifically for the shady spots in your garden where nothing else wants to grow. Hostas are rated to Zone 3. They are one of the most cold, hardy shade perennials that exists, and in a Zone 3 to 5 garden, they are absolutely indispensable for those areas under trees, on the north side of the house, or anywhere that gets less than 4 hours of direct sun. Hostas are grown primarily for their foliage rather than their flowers, although they do produce lovely lavender or white flower spikes in summer that are very attractive to hummingbirds. The leaves come in an incredible range of sizes, shapes and colors: solid green, blue-green, yellow-green, and stunning variegated varieties with cream or white edges. A mature hosta clump is one of the most dramatic plants you can have in a garden. Some varieties reach 4 feet tall and 6 feet wide. They create bold, lush mounds of foliage that look tropical and exotic, even in a cold northern garden. The key to growing hostas successfully in cold climates is emergence timing. Hostas emerge late in spring, sometimes not until May in Zone 3 or 4. Do not panic if you see nothing in April. They are coming, and once they emerge, they grow fast and fill in beautifully. Care is very simple: shade or part shade. Consistent moisture. Unlike most of the other plants on this list, hostas prefer moist soil. Divide every 4 to 5 years in spring or fall. My top recommendation for cold climates is Sum and Substance, a giant gold variety that is incredibly vigorous and rated to Zone 3. Also Halcyon for blue foliage and Patriot for classic green and white variegation. Plant number 7, Sedum/Stonecrop. Show footage or photos of Sedum. Plant number 7 is Sedum, also called stonecrop, and this is the plant for the gardener who forgets to water. Sedum is rated to Zone 3. It is a succulent perennial, meaning it stores water in its thick, fleshy leaves. This makes it one of the most drought-tolerant perennials that exists. But unlike most succulents which cannot handle cold, Sedum is specifically adapted to brutal winters. It is the best of both worlds. The variety I specifically recommend for Zone 3 to 5 gardens is Autumn Joy Sedum, and the name tells you everything you need to know. It blooms in late summer and fall exactly when most other perennials are finishing up. It produces large, flat flower heads that start out pink in August, deepen to rose red in September, and then turn a beautiful russet bronze in October and November. And here is something really special about autumn joy that I love. If you leave the dried seed heads standing through winter, which I always do, they catch snow beautifully and add incredible visual structure to your winter garden. They look like something out of a nature photography magazine when they are dusted with snow. Autumn joy grows 18 to 24 inches tall and forms a neat, upright clump. It works perfectly at the front or middle of a border. Full sun is best. Poor to average soil. Absolutely minimal watering once established. It is genuinely one of the easiest plants you will ever grow. The only care tip I will give you for cold climates: specifically, do not cut it back in fall. Those standing stems protect the crown through winter. Cut everything back to the ground in early spring, and it will reward you with a perfect new season of growth. Plant number 8, Astilbe. Show footage or photos of Astilbe. Plant number 8 is Astilbe, and this is my personal favorite on this entire list for one simple reason. Nothing else looks like it. Astilbe is rated to Zone 3, and it produces the most feathery, elegant, plume-like flowers of any perennial I have ever grown. They come in shades of white, pink, red, lavender, and purple, and they rise above the foliage on tall, upright stems that sway beautifully in the breeze. But here is what makes Astilbe truly unique for cold climate gardens. It is one of the few perennials on this list that actually prefers shade and moisture. If you have a damp, shady area in your garden, maybe near a downspout, under a deck, or in a low-lying area that stays moist, Astilbe will absolutely love it. While other plants struggle in those conditions, Astilbe thrives. The foliage is beautiful until the plant is not in bloom, deeply cut, fern-like leaves that look lush and tropical. And after blooming, if you leave the dried plumes standing, they add beautiful texture to the garden through fall and even into winter. Astilbe blooms from June through August, depending on the variety. By planting early, mid, and late blooming varieties, you can have Astilbe flowers in your garden for the entire summer. Care is straightforward. Part to full shade. Consistently moist soil. This is important. Astilbe does not like to dry out. In a naturally moist spot, it needs almost no supplemental watering. Divide every 3 to 4 years to maintain vigor. My top varieties for Zone 3 to 5. Fennel for deep red, Bridal Veil for white, and Pumila for a compact lavender variety that works beautifully as a ground cover. Plant number 9, Russian Sage / Perovskia. Show footage or photos of Russian Sage. And plant number 9, saving one of the most dramatic for last, is Russian Sage, Perovskia atrip. Licifolia. Russian Sage is rated to Zone 3, and it is one of the most visually striking perennials you can grow in a cold climate garden. It produces long, airy spikes of small lavender-blue flowers on silver-white stems from midsummer all the way through fall. When it is in full bloom, it looks like a cloud of purple mist floating above your garden. There is truly nothing else like it. It grows 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, so it needs space. Plant it at the back of a border or as a standalone specimen where it can show off. The silver stems and blue-purple flowers look absolutely spectacular against a fence, a wall, or a dark background. Russian sage is also one of the most drought-tolerant perennials on this list. It comes from the dry, harsh climates of Central Asia, so it is perfectly adapted to hot summers and brutally cold winters. Once established, it needs almost no supplemental water. It actually performs better in poor, dry soil than in rich, amended soil. The fragrance is A. Other bonus: the leaves and stems are aromatic when brushed, with a pleasant sage-like scent that many people find very appealing. And deer absolutely hate the smell, making Russian sage one of the best deer-resistant plants you can grow. One important care note for cold climates: Russian sage is a subshrub, meaning the stems become woody at the base. In Zone 3 to 5, cut it back hard in early spring down to about 6 inches from the ground. This hard pruning is what keeps it producing those beautiful long flower spikes. If you do not cut it back, it will get straggly and produce fewer flowers. The variety I recommend is Blue Spire, the most cold-hardy and most vigorous variety available. It has been growing in my Zone 4 garden for 4 years and gets better every single year. Bonus section: saving money with these 9 plants. Before I wrap up, I want to talk about money for just a minute because I think this is important. The average American gardener in a cold climate spends $200 to $400 every single spring replanting annuals, year after year after year after year. Over 10 years, that is $2,000 to $4,000 on plants that die every winter. Every single one of the 9 perennials I showed you today costs between $8 and $15 at a garden center. Plant all 9, that is roughly $100 to $135 at one time. and then they come back every year for free. After 3 to 4 years, most of these plants will be large enough to divide. You split them, replant the divisions, and suddenly you have 18 plants for the price of 9, then 36, then 72. You will never need to buy these plants again. You will be giving them away to neighbors. This is the real power of planting the right perennials for your zone. It is not just about having a beautiful garden, it is about building a garden that pays you back year after year. Outro and call to action. So there you have it, 9 perennials that have been personally tested and proven to survive brutal Irian winters in zones 3, 4, and 5. Let me do a quick recap. Number 1, Echinacea, the indestructible pollinator magnet. Number 2, Rudbeckia, the longest blooming golden beauty. Number 3, hardy Salvia, the hummingbird and butterfly favorite. Number 4, Daylily, the most forgiving plant on earth. Number 5, Yarrow, the drought warrior. Number 6, Hosta, the king of the shade garden. Number 7, Sedum autumn joy, the fall garden hero. Number 8, Astilbe, the most elegant plant for shade and moisture. Number 9, Russian sage, the most dramatic plant for any cold climate garden. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 9 plants are you most excited to try in your garden this spring? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I read every single comment and I will reply to you personally. And if this video helped you, please hit the like button. It takes 2 seconds and it helps this channel reach more American gardeners who are struggling with cold climate gardening. I really appreciate every single like. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. Every week, I post new videos specifically for cold climate American gardeners zone 3, 4, and 5. Real tested advice, no fluff, no plants that die in your first winter. I will see you in the next video. Happy gardening.